Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Gyesie, shamanic leadership guide and transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks heal, transform, and overcome trauma-informed limiting self-beliefs to create resonant lives right here. Today we're going to talk a bit about empathic discernment in a chaotic world. How an empath can focus on peace, people, purpose, and profits, the 4 Ps. So this is particularly for an empath who's very exhausted, questioning everything, and can no longer tolerate what one used to endure. This is because your discernment has come online, and the exhaustion you feel is actually sacred. And it's because it's the body's refusal to host what no longer belongs in your field. And in today's session, we're talking about transformation. We're going deep into energetic discernment, not as a tool for survival, but as a compass for sovereign rebirth. And to support this, we'll break down the 4P framework, something I learned from someone else, where we'll focus on peace, purpose, people, and profits, using insights from many multidisciplinary perspectives to support this point. So again, how can an empath in a chaotic world have discernment that's focused on peace, people, purpose, and profits? So I'll start with the beginnings and the roots of empathic discernment. And I often talk about polyvagal theory because the vagus nerve, which connects the brain stem to the various organs in the body, isn't just a biological feature, even though it is. What it really is a discernment device. And if you even go, you're activating that vagus nerve. Because the vagus nerve decodes safety. It's what enables your parasympathetic nervous system, which holds your trauma and your joy to be. And when your body feels off around someone, that's not paranoia. It's what's called neuroception. Because your body reads frequency faster than your mind reads logic. And according to David Bohm, great physicist, matter is frozen light. In other words, thoughts, people, money all exist as energetic information first. Therefore, discernment is not about judging the form, it's about decoding the frequency. So when we go into a bit more of an esoteric perspective, and here I'll borrow from the Tao or Tao Te Ching, there's this verse that goes like this: can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but light? That's discernment, because discernment is light work. And to see clearly, you must clear internally. Now, when you think about, in Buddhism, for example, the first foundation of mindfulness, how you practice meditation, for example, the first foundation is to become bodily aware, because the body is where discernment begins, and you cannot spiritually discern what you emotionally bypass. So let's start with the 4 Ps, starting first with peace, right? So the longest study on peace at Harvard University, and it's been ongoing, and the most recent input from them in 2023 shows that peace and emotional safety create longevity and joy. And MRI evidence in the HeartMath Institute shows that the heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times stronger than the brain's and extends 6 feet, 7 feet even outside your body in every direction. And so when you're at peace, you are electrically protected. So when you see a very peaceful person, they seem very attractive, right? And when you go into the religious perspective, here I borrow from the Christian cosmology, it says in John 14:27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, I do not give as the Lord gives. Therefore, real peace is not circumstantial, it's energetic sovereignty. So before you ask the question, is this person good for me? Ask, did my peace leave the room when they entered? Then the second P is people, where you begin to focus on frequency over familiarity. So Dr. Bruce Lipton, in his work on genes, said genes respond to environment, not lineage, right? Genes respond to environment, not lineage. Therefore, the people you surround yourself with are your living energetic environment. And therefore, you become one of the people you spend the most time with. And when you think about ma'at, which comes from ancient Kemet, in Kemetic science, there's this principle of ma'at, which emphasizes truth, balance, and reciprocity. Meaning, if someone consistently disrupts your ma'at, they are a karmic assignment, not a soul ally. And then in Islam, it says, according to the great prophet Muhammad, a person is upon the religion of their close friend. In other words, the company you keep recalibrates your moral compass consciously or unconsciously. So if you're with someone and you feel like they confuse you more than they clarify you, that's a problem. If your intuition whispers but your trauma screams, that's a red flag. That's your cue. And discernment is really spiritually listening to what your body's telling you, what your neuroception is revealing to you. Then we come into purpose, right? And purpose, of course, the obvious low-hanging fruit will be Viktor Frankl's work on man's search for meaning, or woman's search for meaning, or a person's search for meaning, where it stated that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Those who have a why to live can bear any how. How? Now you think about this in terms of the Japanese concept of ikigai, when we're talking about purpose. So ikigai generally, although erroneously often alluded to, basically says that find what you love, what you're good at, and what the world needs, and what you can be paid for, right? In those concentric circles. And this is supported by a quote by a Rumi who said, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strained pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." So what you focus on organizes the field. In other words, purpose gives focus, and focus creates collapse of potential into manifestation. That's quantum mechanics. So what I'm trying to say is, if you don't know your purpose, stop trying to be productive, start listening. And your nervous system already knows what you're meant for, because it's that thing that lights you up and scares you. So let's talk about energetic currency, profits, which is the other P, right? And we're going to do a sort of a macro analysis of all these P's. So profits, here we're talking about energetic currency, not greed. And from a religious perspective, in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, it says, "One who enjoys the fruits of labor without sacrifice is a thief." In other words, profits aligned with purpose are sacred. Without alignment, it's karmic debt. And then in the Bible, in Deuteronomy 8:18, it says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." In other words, the permission to receive is not about greed, it's about assignment. And of course, you can go into the spiritual economics of this, and we know that elevated emotions regulate the quantum field of abundance, dispenser. Trauma blocks the currency by encoding lack as identity, which is why even people you may think have questionable morals but an extreme belief in themselves are very successful, because it's about law. So the brain treats value like energy, and financial discernment is neural hygiene. In other words, you do not attract wealth, you embody it. And profits are not a reward, they are a resonant response to being fully you. If any of this resonates, don't forget to type transform in the comment section if it can be of help to you. So now let's talk about these 4P audits, your new spiritual hygiene. And you can use this audit whenever you want. Meaning, when it comes to peace, what left my body after that conversation? That's how you know a person is for you or not. When it comes to people, who do I shrink around and who do I expand with? Just be clear on that. When it comes to purpose, what activities give me energy after I do them? When it comes to profits, what is the cost of what I'm giving away for free? And you realize as an empath, discernment is not about avoidance, it's about alignment. You're not too sensitive, you're too awake to pretend anymore. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you are alerted when we have future postings. And remember your focus on these 4 P's: peace, people, purpose, and profits. And when you have these in your line of sight, your discernment is at a high alert to guide you, to shape you, to point you as your ally and best friend. Because remember, divinement is spiritual hygiene. See you next time. Peace.